Yeah, unfortunately, yeah, that's why, I mean...
That's my fault. Okay, that's good crisis management.
Okay, so, I mean, now, I mean, do we have any question for our very distinguished panelists or from the floor? So, I mean, for all the speakers?
I can finalize my initial comments if you want.
Please, carry on.
Time. Okay, yeah. Because we were just speaking about accident and rules evolution, so it's time to say that, I mean, Ajax has always been active in this field, and I would like to tell you something to update the audience about some recent initiatives taken by Ajax in this field, in risk management. So recently, in July 2014, all of you knows Ajax, that is the International Association of Classification Societies. So all the major classification societies belongs to Ajax. Recently, in July 2014, Ajax held a one-day formal safety assessment training course for more than 80 delegates, IMO delegates, attending this first meeting of the IMO subcommittee on implementation of IMO instruments, in order just to facilitate the understanding of this process. Formal safety assessment is a new approach in the maritime safety regulatory regime. It is defined in this way. It's a rational and systematic process for assessing the risk related to maritime safety and the protection of the marine environment, and for evaluating the cost and benefits of IMO's options for reducing these risks. So during this training, Ajax gave information on the main 5 steps in the formal safety assessment process, that are the hazard identification, the risk analysis and examples, the identification of risk control options, the cost-benefit analysis and cost-effectiveness analysis, and finally, reporting a recommendation for decision-making. Further additional development of the subject will be discussed during the next MSC 94 that will be held in November 2014. Another outcome of the recent MSC 93, the Maritime Safety Committee held in February 2014, and sponsored by Ajax, by the way, is that part of this formal safety assessment process is the proper use of statistical data and standard risk models, including information related to human element. This takes data and information from something already existing, that is the IMO Global Integrated Shipping Information System for Casualty Module database. And this database collects factual data from various sources, okay? Then there are as well more elaborated information based on reports of investigation into casualties received by IMO. The use of accident data has been put as an input of a previous FSA study as well. And it must be said that lack of data has been the most common excuse for not undertaking an FSA study. So, and then Ajax will deliver a presentation on risk modeling from existing damages and big data. This presentation will be delivered in a tripartite meeting among class owners and shipyard in Shanghai at the end of October this year. The main subject will be the collection and the proper use of the statistical data, and then as well the data related to human element, then the way how to improve the collection. But anyway, this is a subject that is very important for Ajax, that is supporting IMO in using this formal safety assessment approach. This is just for few update about the Ajax recent activity. Okay, I just said that because we were speaking about accident and evolution of the rules.
Thank you very
Vittorio.
much. Thanks a lot. There is anybody from the speaker that he wants?
Yeah, I actually had a comment, and it's a little bit along the lines of what Sean was saying, that I think there is no doubt that the industry is faced with such an enormous compliance bureaucracy, and there is such a lot of good thinking from Klaas, from Ajax, from many. But I think Sean's point, mine will be also, at the end of the day, the destiny of a ship owner, to a very large degree, depends on those people on board. What kind of individual have you selected to run this expensive ship? How do they work together? How do they respect one another? Is there a fear culture or is there a cooperative culture? These are vital, simple things that sometimes is totally ignored. If only that can be fixed, I think we've come a long, long way. It is back to the basic things, the good captain, the good officers at the bridge and in the engine room. You need both. And if you can find them, keep them. Thank you.
Thank you, John, for your qualified opinion. I mean, I just remind the audience that John Wick, beyond being the CEO of Norwegian Club, has served for 10 years as a board member of DNV, so he has certainly a qualified opinion on that. I'm seeing Rocco Bozzelli from Rides Club that he wants to intervene.
Yeah, just a quick one. You talk a lot, Mr. Wick and Mrs. Kern, about human element, which you said is 50% also on the underwriting decision. Human element came back as well on the crew now. I think I would like to point out an issue I see on the marine and P&I insurance industry, which is the next generation of underwriters. I was at IUMI as well, and one big topic is, are we attracting new underwriters? I'm not really convinced that the very smart students are attracted by our industry today, because if you compare with IT or trading or other environments, I think that they will maybe consider to move on that area of business rather than underwriting. So first question on my side is, what are we doing to attract underwriters, young underwriters? Because the innovation comes from people, and the next innovators will be the next generation of underwriters. And I see it as a big topic. And the second is about the speed. Marine industry, to me, changed a lot in the last years. The way of communication moved in a very quick way. I'm not so convinced that the insurance moved in the same way as the industry. If you think about the logistic providers 10 years ago, is not what it is today. And my question will be also, innovation, yes, but a key element to me is also the speed of reaction of our marine industry on the insurance side to follow up the quick evolution of the activity of our clients. Thank you.
Rocco, I think that your comment is very valuable. If I look around, and I happen to know some of the marine insurance community, if I take out you, there are not many under 40. This is, in my opinion, one of the biggest challenges that we are going to face in the future. And I think that the challenge starts with the fact that we are not known in the academic and university world. I happen to have had a meeting yesterday with the head of the Department of Statistics at the Genoa University, and she was amazed on the field of application that student of statistics could have in insurance. And I think that it is up to us to make sure that we get the best talent on board and we invest in it. I can talk as a Swiss Re corporate solution, and this is one of our major concerns, and we are starting collaboration with universities exactly for this purpose.
I can only supplement. I guess it depends a little bit where you are in the world. I mean, if I look at my little country, 4 or 5 million people, we're probably more money in the bank now than ever. We've lost our industries. We are in the post-industrial stage. We had, and we still have, a large shipping and offshore and energy fleet. I would say that we do not have that problem. We do find that we can attract some of the best. That's because I think we have maritime tradition. We are competent within energy exploration and production. And it's fascinating to a young Norwegian, girl or boy, to come into an industry which is international. Don't forget, we are way up north. There are not that many alternatives.
You should send some Norwegians out of Italy or South Europe as well then.
We welcome any Italian.
Well, thank you. I probably echo something that Jon said. It does depend where you are in the company, and London is a fairly vibrant market with young people wanting to come into the market at this time. Maybe some of the other sectors you mentioned are less sexy now, and people do find it interesting. And some of the companies, some of the club managers manage other businesses as well. So Thomas Miller, we manage TT Club and some other businesses, and that gives us a base of interest. I think your second point was innovation, keeping pace with the demands of clients, and that is quite important. And that's where I think governance is incredibly important of clubs, that club board directors see what's happening. They bring those issues to their club boards, and that rules change and adapt. And a big vote will take place next year on something like the Maritime Labour Convention. It's a new risk, yet to be decided. So there is a mechanism for this, and we do have to foster that.
Thank you. I'm seeing Vittorio Ansaldo, Director of SIAT. Please.
I think that the figures coming from Ayumi showing that we have been losing money for 18 years is a serious problem. And underwriters have to look at old and new challenges with great care. Our business is based on unexpected events. We have to be prepared that tomorrow the largest box ship, valued 150 million or whatever, may have a major loss, may go down. Very difficult place to get to, with a huge amount of cargo on board, causing a lot of problems. The case of Costa Concordia is very interesting because when the claim occurred, the original estimate, overall estimate of the claim was 1 billion, and the final figure is $2 billion, most of which is borne by P&I clubs. We have to face a lot of emerging risks that have been already touched earlier on by the speakers. One in particular is very important, is the shortage of trained, high-qualified personnel. We all know that about 70–80% of marine casualties are caused by the human factor in broad terms, whether it is crew negligence, whether it is a lack of preparation, mistake, superficiality, or DPA person ashore. But anyway, this is the real challenge, old and new one, that cannot be clearly sorted out by underwriters, but is a macroeconomic problem. We have other challenges like huge vessel values, exposures, combined with the size of ships. I was reading the other day that the longest ship is 458 meters, is an oil tanker. Container ship, 400 meters with 15–20,000 TEUs on board, causing a problem of exposures. New technologies, complexity, propulsion developments, and last but not least, salvage capabilities and ship repair facilities. Scarcity of course. So I think that ultimately this is strengthening the case for a better knowledge of our risk, risk assessment, price modeling in a way, without forgetting though that our main task is to look after properly to our clients, to ourselves, and to build up the, how can I say, the right premium to pay off for the owners, for ourselves, and for our insurers. Thank you.
May I follow Mr. Ansaldo comments? This is in line with my experience as a ship operator. When I see a single owner that is placing order for 100 vessels, I understand that he should need in the future 100 masters, 100 chief engineers, and crew members. And in this regard, I'm wondering where it is possible to have in very short time a good familiarization, a good training, and if the ISO code is enough for a sound management of these vessels. I think that the human factor and also the system in place within a ship company should guarantee, undertake that the crew members should be capable of conducting a new vessels without having an additional risk. Thank you.
So, I mean, it's okay. Thank you to Mr. Ansaldo and Mr. Rondinella. I think you both pinpoint, I mean, a number of issues that have been already briefly, I mean, mentioned in the previous speeches and certainly have to be addressed. And the bottom line is that the approach to marine insurance has definitely, I mean, to change if we want to change the profile of the industry going forward. I'm seeing Andrea Poliseno that wants to have.
Thanks, Mauro. Just want to maybe changing topic and want to link back to what yesterday we had a very interesting topic. It was a conference about eco ships with the Young Ship Owners Association, and this morning and today we talk about eco ships. We talk about changing management. It's different time, different structure that owners insurance have to have in place compared to years ago, which makes sense. I would like to understand, and coming back as well to what Captain D'Amato said this morning, he was going on the way that the PN9, in that sense, they should have charged more cost of premium, maybe to the older tonnage, which maybe is not really doable because, as Federico said, you know, it's not something that can be easily addressed in this independent statistics. But maybe on the other side, I would like to have your idea about these eco ships. We know that there are like different engine and shapes and propellers, so it's something which is changing anyway, part of the factors of the ship. Is there something you see as a favorable aspect to help owners as well and give them another benefit on premium, for example, reducing the risk? Or on the other side, it's something that is going to, since it could be a question mark, is something that is going to could possibly increase the risk. So I would like to have your perspective as well on this point. Thank you.
Yeah, I think first of all, if you, I mean, I'm talking very general here. If you look at the figures here that Patricia showed, if you are not able to price your global portfolio in any other way than to make 80% loss, and not covering reinsurance, not covering cost, not covering acquisition costs, then it's very difficult, I think, to go to a market. But that's my personal opinion. I say we want lower prices for new stuff, new buildings coming. Those new buildings haven't yet proven their, call it, inherent risk qualities. I think the reinsurance industry, the insurance industry, is more a reflective type of industry. It will not be very proactive. It will look at things and then in hindsight see whether the pricing is consistent with what they have historically observed. To anticipate that eco ships will be any better than existing, I think that's going to be very hard for us. And the things we do see is that there is something in the on the engine side, on the fuel side. I can't remember wonderful name, what is it called? There are some residues that we expect can cause higher temperatures and cause some damage. To that, I think it's very, very important to be aware that the insurers will only cover what is sudden and accidental. If you see a pattern on the eco ships, for example, where the same thing is happening over and over and over again, I think underwriters will pull back and say, this is not longer sudden and accidental. It is assumed to be the case. We can actually assume that unless you do so and so and so, you will have the damage. We can't cover it. So I think the eco-ship debate is beyond our, at least my understanding. I can see why ship owners are frustrated over the fact that it destroys the balance of supply and demand. But I think ultimately the global community is there to seek a better shipping in terms of how green they are than currently. And that movement you will not stop. That's just the way it's going to go. Okay. The world will get better in that sense.
And I think that it's very important, as John just said, always to remember that we have experience at disposal in most of the time when we do our pricing. And as such, it does not mean that anything that we don't know is automatically punished. But for sure, to make sure that we rightly price and we capture really the value of the risk, we need to work more on our data, on our database, and this is the challenge. But more sustainable from the environmental point of view, it does not mean less risky.
Okay, thank you. I think we are really running out of time. I'm seeing Giuseppe Bottiglieri wants to have, and I don't want to sound rude, but I mean, should be most probably, unless there is somebody else that really wants to have a word, should be the last intervention.
Thank you very much. One of the topic very important, and one of the things that all ship owners, not only my company, is dealing for is for crew quality. We have a very big problem. When Mr. Rondinella says 100 office, captain or officers, we are talking, we have 15 vessels and we have a big problem because you cannot imagine how many captains and chief engineers we dismissed. When the vessel leave a port and go out for a navigation of 30, 40 days, imagine that on board of the vessel they are alone and they do whatever they like to do. And we are unable to control well, even if we have a video camera on board of our vessel. And we try to stay together with them and to have a conversation. Also, Mr. Ansaldo, I am agree when he said before his observation that the human factor, negligence, is the main problem. I have proposed now, and we are discussing that also this matter in Intercargo, where I am vice chairman, in which we have to organize something to report to the port authority a certain default of captains or chief engineer or crew that they make by themselves, making at risk the navigation. For instance, we have one ship that was arrested in the United States for a magic pipe. This is a very big problem raised, and Christopher Brown, remember this aspect discussed in a P&I club, where we have a long discussion and we got support from the club. They discovered that we have never instructed some way of magic pipe to install on board. Chief engineer was arrested, prosecuted, and 6 months in the jail. But when he went back here, I was unable to report to Italian port authorities. Now he's going on board of other ships, maybe making the same trick,
And we ask why you make this magic pipe. You know what say? No, because we avoid to burn the sludge, you know, we avoid, we don't have, we are a ship that in the evening we have no washing, nothing, and then we go for sleep. Otherwise, we have people that they have to work when they are paid also for overtime. You know, this is something that is behind our control, if they do something like that. Sorry. Thank you. Do you understand? This is the real situation that we have to implement. And in Italy, maybe we have to report to the Italian authorities what are happening. And I cannot say what's happening with captains because it's a so long story that also you cannot imagine. The negligence of the crew is the first effect. They don't do anything. Sorry for this.
No, but Giuseppe, I think this is very clear, and I mean, unfortunately, the people on the panel here, being underwriters, can do very little, but they can only appreciate that the ship owners are strengthening, I mean, the control of the crew, and they want to do really their utmost in order to try to have an efficient crew, which is, I mean, the key to good claims records with your underwriters, no doubt about it. Okay, on my side, I wish to thank everybody, starting from the speaker, and all the panelists, all the floor for the patience, and I leave the floor to my co-chairman for the conclusion.
More than a conclusion, it's something new which Francesco's asked us to do. So I'm not entirely sure what we are going to do, but I think, and I will probably need the help of Joshua, if Joshua is around somewhere. It's a sort of a quiz, for what I can understand. We are going to put you a question, and you have to answer yes, no, don't know, something like that. I don't think that anybody is going to win a prize. Is that correct? No, there are no prizes.
We will see, we will see. But already, Giuseppe, we won the prize because a very good friend of us made a present of this, which not as a facility and it's not an innovation because it was used in Mariform, but Josh is going to say something about it.
Yes, so it's a new feature to Shipping and the Law 2014, and in an effort to create greater audience participation, we've designed a few polls. There'll be 2 questions now and 3 questions in the following session. And you can vote your answer with these devices which have been generously given to us by Giuseppe Bottiglieri and Mariella Bottiglieri, for whom we would like to say thank you very much. And you just choose the corresponding number to the answer you believe, or you think. And Federico will read out the question and it will show up on the screen here.
And thank you, Josh, for all the work you have done with all the team for this conference. Thank you to you all. I think you represent all of us.
Thank you, Joshua, for putting me into this very difficult situation. So in any event, I think you can read it on the screen over there, but the question is, do you as stakeholders, so everybody, feel comfortable that the marine hull insurance market has lost money for the 18th consecutive year? If you think yes, you have to push 1. If you think no, you have to push 2, if I understood correctly. If you don't have an opinion, you push 3 when you are told to do that. Is that correct, Joshua?
Yes, the little circle in the bottom right will turn green, and that's when the polls are open.
So the vote is open. Push the button. Choose. There's plenty of people still voting. I think it's done. Okay, end of vote. Is that right? Joshua, is that right?
Yes.
Would you like to read the question?
Do you, as stakeholders, feel comfortable that the marine hull insurance market has lost money for the 18th consecutive year? And 70% of you believe no. So.
I think it's reasonable.
This means that you don't feel comfortable or you don't believe this is true, because As a former name of Lloyd's, an investor, frankly, I think there were, in the last 18 years, only 1 or 2 years we made a law, at least fortunately, crossing the fingers. So, you know, I think you should double check this reality. You refer only to the hull and machinery, but some syndicates have been very successful of Lloyd's. Are the company...
No, Francesco, sorry. I mean, the thing is that we are talking about the hull and machinery market globally. This means that there are people that they have lost a lot of money and they are out of business today, and they are people that they've done marginal money, but overall the market is losing. The point is that irrespective of the very bad results, the excess of liquidity, I mean, causes new players to replace the players that have gone because bad result. And then, I mean, how long this is going to continue is difficult to say. It goes without saying that all the stakeholders should pay attention to that, because to put your asset in hands of insurers that globally claim to lose money for the 18 consecutive years is something that should make all of us thinking. Of course, we don't have a reply to that, but it's just a state of fact.
I suspect that from what I heard also yesterday and today, the traditional ship owners hope that the private bankers will follow the same track, at least overall in their investment. But I must say, I'm sure that Patricia and John did not lose money as my underwriters, starting from our old friend Mark Brockman, have always, marine underwriters, been able to gain, to make some profit, perhaps diversifying in other areas risk. I don't know about this.
The fact that the hull and machinery insurance industry lost money over the past 18 years, it is a fact. And we are challenged as Ayumi fact and figure because we are giving a negative picture. We are just reporting on facts. You know, there is no interpretation to this.
This is also what the insurers of our cars say, and they always increase the premium.
Can I just take one final comment to that one? I would say, to the complement of the insurance industry as a whole, which is one of the biggest industry globally, that unlike the banking industry, we haven't been saddled, touch wood, with the nonsense that has taken place, which has been mentioned here, the volatility, pulling out of industry, leaving it to other investors to come in, because the equity was down at the level which was simply not adequate to take on risk. That changed call it the way money comes into your shipping industry. I will also say claims have been paid. This industry has been, with all due respect, standing up honestly and doing the job. We haven't messed around like many others have, if I may say that as a final comment.
Thank you. Next question, or is
Joshua,
over?
next question. Can we have it on the screen?
Yes, please. Do you believe that the main consideration for underwriters when making risk assessments is the overall quality of the ship and its management? Yes, no, I don't know.
Votation.
We call this the piano player in the Italian parliament, when you vote also for your colleagues who are absent.
I think we're there. Stop vote, okay? Now, this is interesting, because basically it's, broadly speaking, it's touching on many of the things which have been mentioned, discussed, or in the various interventions. We were talking of proper underwriting, we were talking of, say, what is the process for fixing a price. Somewhat it is coming also to, in a broad sense, answer to what Peppino Bottiglieri this morning was asking in terms of whether there is anything which could be done to limit by age the availability of insurance. the reality is here, which to me, it's what is important is not the piece of iron. What is important is the quality and the care which the owners are taking in managing that ship. So, Peppino, you mentioned crew. Crew is important. Crew is basically you're selecting your crews. You're as much as you can, of course, amongst what is available. Crew is vital. Say technical management is vital. Everybody's got a lost record. That is, I think, what John was referring to this morning when he was saying, okay, you have technical data available, you have models on which you can elaborate the pricing, but then I think another very important thing is to support what John said, which is eventually looking at each other in the eyes and say, I believe in what you say, I believe in your project, or I don't. That's, I think, reinforced by the answer to this question. Thank you very much.
Please don't move.